Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Anna.
We're the Hutchinsons.
We own Hutchinson Maple Products in Lake Paul, Nova Scotia, and we're the largest certified organic maple producers in the province of Nova Scotia.
For over 21 years on the road, running a successful trucking business, we've had quite a journey that has taken us home here to Hutchinson Acres.
This is our story.
It's a busy day at Hutchinson Maple Products. The girls are busy in the kitchen, and Chris and Anna take a moment to sit down and answer some of your maple syrup questions. Are the grades of syrup and the darkness a factor of the amount of reduction, the trees, the season and climate, or a mix?
The difference with the grades of syrup is done usually at the end of the cooking process. And what determines the grade, whether it's dark or light, a lot of it depends on the season and on the cooking. So typically earlier seasons normally have a lighter grade of syrup, lighter to the taste. In the later season it's usually darker. And also another thing that can affect that color of the syrup is the cooking, the caramelization of those flavors. And if you cook it a little bit longer, and that doesn't necessarily mean a higher Brix, it just means that it takes a little bit longer to cook, that caramelization and then the darkening of flavors will be a little bit stronger.
What are the differences in dark and light syrup?
Because the differences in dark and light syrup is a lot of our customers feel that the lighter the syrup, the more light the syrup will taste. The darker the syrup, the more robust the taste is. So if you have a darker syrup versus a lighter syrup, a lot of people that live in Nova Scotia prefer the dark syrup because it's got a stronger mapley taste. I prefer the one that's in the middle, what we call the medium, because it has a more even taste between the light and the dark. And it's a really beautiful syrup that just goes well with everything.
Do you make grade B syrup?
We do not make a grade B syrup. Typically in Nova Scotia, we don't make that type of a product. It's usually late season. It usually has some strong off odors and off taste, and it typically wouldn't be used in any of our customers. Grade B is just a really poor quality. It would wouldn't have enough taste to meet a grade. It wouldn't have the color, obviously. There would probably be issues with its stability. In other words, it may have buddy in it, it may have mold in it, it could have a lot of things. It may have started to turn to vinegar, which it does sometimes, and then that's when you get a fruity flavor. So you really have three issues when it comes to that sort of stuff. You have your fruity type flavors that come from usually mold growing and that sort of thing. Your buddy flavors is usually an off-season flavor that comes from that. So
yeah, we typically in Nova Scotia, even in Canada, we don't see a lot of grade B. It is an American thing, and I don't quite understand their realization for it, but we here don't produce a grade B.
What is infused maple syrup?
So infused maple syrup is a creation that we have come up with where we take our regular maple syrup and we infuse it with different flavors to make the 5 different flavored syrups that we currently have. They're called the Pure. We basically take certified organic ingredients, we mix them with the maple syrup, we heat them to a certain temperature, we let them sit for a certain amount of time, and then we go and filter those ingredients back out of the maple syrup so that we end up with a pure maple syrup. So when you look at the bottle is pure, you don't see any ingredients, it just looks like regular maple syrup, but it's got a beautiful infused flavor in it. We created 5 different ones that way.
How can you use infused maple syrup?
So the vanilla cinnamon star anise is great added to whipped cream. It's beautiful on your pancakes, crepes, French toast. It's really nice in that respect. The cinnamon nutmeg clove is really nice on roasted vegetables, just pouring over roasted vegetables and putting them in the oven, or on your hot oatmeal in the morning. The lavender and chai is beautiful in a smoothie and also just on tossed fruit. The gas streak, which is the apple cider vinegar and ginger, is a really nice marinade. It can also be used on vegetables. It's a nice cleanser as well. And the chipotle and lemongrass is got a little bit of a bite to it, so a little smoky flavor. So it's really nice as a finisher for your barbecue, on any meats. It's beautiful on salmon. And I've even had people put it on popcorn. So they have a great variety of different uses.
Will there be any new infusions?
At this point, we don't have any new infusions online, or we've thought of a couple, but we really like to focus on what we have currently and get better at that and get that out there. In the future, we might come up with some new creations, but right now we'd like to stick with that one.
What Canadian province produces the most maple syrup?
Quebec produces the most maple syrup. Typically, up until a few years ago, they produced 85% of the world's maple syrup. That has been eroding over the last few years, and it's getting down to around 70% now and still falling.
Can you eat maple syrup straight from the tree?
You can eat maple syrup straight from the tree, but it's called maple sap at that point. It's not maple syrup yet, because in order for it to become maple syrup, you have to cook the water out of it. So you have to take it to 66% bricks. But yes, you can certainly drink it right from the tree. One drop at a time.
Can you tap trees too early?
Yes. The earlier you tap, the longer that tap is in the tree, the more susceptible it is to bacteria, and it will eventually close off if not looked after properly.
How many maple trees does it take to produce a gallon of maple syrup in a season?
It takes anywhere from 2 to 4 trees, depending on the season and the production per tap, to produce a gallon of maple syrup.
What is maple butter?
Maple butter is basically just maple syrup, and all we do is we cook it to a high temperature, we let it cool, and then we churn it. So we have a machine that churns it, and it produces a perfect maple butter. So it's not really technically butter. There's no milk, there's nothing in it, no added ingredients in it. It is pure maple syrup, just churned.
What can you use maple butter on?
Maple butter has some really great uses. Number one, just with a spoon. It's really nice that way. It's perfect on toast, on bagels, anything like that, just using it the same way you would use regular butter. It's really nice on pancakes, French toast, anything like that. If you typically put butter on those, this would be a nice alternative for that. And then of course, pour the maple syrup on top of the maple butter on top of your pancake is really good.
Do you need to filter maple syrup?
Yes. The reason you need to filter maple syrup is the public doesn't want to see those little flakes of sand that come in maple sap. Believe it or not, when that tree is starting to produce maple sap, it's coming from the moisture, the water in the ground, and it actually transfers some of those little tiny particles of sand. And they come all the way down in the cooking process, and when we cook it to syrup, there's these little particles in there of sand, and the filtering process, what it does, it cleans all that little particles out, so you have an attractive looking product rather than a product that has little tiny pieces dangling in it every time you turn it upside down.
What are the health benefits of pure maple syrup?
That's a good one for you.
There are a lot of health benefits to pure maple syrup. It is a great substitute for refined sugar. You can use it anywhere that you use sugar now. So if you're trying to get rid of the refined sugar that's in your diet, substitute it with maple syrup. You can do it the same amount, or you can cut it in half. Depends on your own flavorings and how you would like to use it. But maple syrup can be used in all of your baking as your sugar substitute. It can be used in your cooking, in your breakfast, in your hot oatmeal. A lot of people love it in their coffee. We're doing a great little drink here called the Canadiana. So instead of putting sugar in our coffee, we're putting an ounce of maple syrup in it, and it's a great favorite here.
Thanks for joining us. This is only part 1. Part 2 is coming your way very soon. If you have any more maple syrup questions for Chris and Anna, you can leave them in the comments below. Next week on Hutchinson Acres, we head to the cookhouse as the part for the membrane is finally in. But will it work this time? Plus, we get to meet a new family member.